Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to An English Haunting. And in the last episode, guys, we figured out what we need to do to complete the strange machine we found in Professor Ward's workshop. We need to gather some items, including a special photographic plate and ectoplasm of all things, in order to get it going. Now, we visited the home here of Florence Cook, who a lot of people believe was an absolute fraud as a medium, but believe it or not, Florence was actually a real person. But we also met Charlotte Cook, Florence's niece. Now, we found out that she can actually summon the ectoplasm, but in doing so, it may kill her because she very much angered an entity that she had summoned a long time ago when she was younger. However, she apparently has been diagnosed with a terminal disease and she wants to do it, but she needs the help of someone else in order to get it going. So we got a lot of moving gears right now. Before we go ahead and travel to that location, let's go ahead and look around here. These flowers smell very nice. What kind of flowers are they? Lobelias. An 1873 portrait of Katie King. She looks very young. The flowers give off an intoxicating aroma. They are African lilies. Now she's upset because her aunt's about to die one way or another. And she got outvoted, as she said. There's several business cards on the tray. You can take one if you wish. Oh, thank you. These are some of the scientists who investigated the phenomena of Katie King. Mr. Crooks is the one in the middle. So Crooks is who we need to talk to. She will not do the actual seance and grab the ectoplasm unless we have Crooks, present. This painting reminds me of The Hill of Dreams by Arthur Machen. Can we talk to Charlotte? Why is it so important for you to obtain an ectoplasm sample? We're creating a machine with which one can see the beyond. At the cost of a life. Is it worth it? Let the dead rest and let the living live. I mean, I can't blame her for being upset, but let's actually... What is this? The business card bears the address of the medium Florence Cook. Is that all we have right now? The notebook, crystal flask, metapsychic glossary, and a business card. Okay. William Crookes' residence. Oh, wow. Homie.
Island for Mr. Crooks. What'd you say your name was?
Moore. Patrick Moore. Off you go then.
Mr. Crooks, a gentleman named Patrick Moore wishes to see you. He'll attend to you right away.
Thank you. Yes, what do you want? My name is Patrick Moore. I'm a university professor. What field? Medicine. Nice to meet you. Although I come to you as, a metapsychic researcher. An interesting pseudoscience? Certain interesting, but unproductive if I may express my opinion. Mr. Moore, I'm aware that I am known for having been involved in these matters in former times. But all of that belongs to the past. I don't know how I could help you. I do not want to bore you with details, so I'll be brief. I'm completing a machine that'll be able to be a breakthrough in the field of metapsychics. Or psychics. I thought physics, but it's not. You have my attention. Continue. But I need several elements to carry it out. One of them is a sample of ectoplasm that the medium Florence Cook could provide me. Florence? Did you say Florence Cook? Yes. I will save you some time, Mr. Moore. Florence Cook is a fraud. I also doubt her mediumistic abilities, although I have my reasons to give her the benefit of the doubt. Well, this is your choice, but don't say nobody warned you. She asked me to beg you attend the session. She won't do it if you're not present. No. Look, I know that I am not getting involved in this, sir. I've been nominated for the Nobel Prize several times, but I was recently knighted. The last thing I need to be associated with these matters again. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Aren't you curious to find out if Florence Cook isn't a fraud after all? I thoroughly investigated Florence Cook, Mr. Moore. And believe me, that woman has no extraordinary powers. However, your conclusion about her was quite the opposite. It's very complicated. You wouldn't understand. I didn't want to be too harsh on her because it was... Let's just say it was a dishonest act that jeopardized my credibility as a scientist. Do it in the name of science, Mr. Crooks. Metapsychics is not a science. Chemistry and physics, those are sciences. It won't take too much of your time. I've already given you my refusal, Mr. Moore. Please don't insist. I could bring you the blueprints of the machine I'm building. Yes, you've already told me about it. It runs on ectoplasm. Well, yes, not exactly. Spare me the details, Mr. Moore. Remember, you are talking to a scientist. You said you were interested in the world of metapsychics. I also told you it was completely unproductive. May I give you some advice? Don't waste your time investigating these matters. You are young. Do you want to end up like those nutcases from the BASS believing they've summoned... Who's on this month? Cleopatra? St. John the Baptist? Ludwig van Beethoven? Ah, of course, Beethoven. I've had contact with an entity. Are you running out of arguments to try to convince me, Mr. Moore? As I've already told you, I cannot help you. Now, if you excuse me, I have to review the speech I'll be giving at the headquarters of the British Confederation of Scientific Societies. I only have a short time before the coachman picks me up. Good luck to you, Mr. Moore. Florence Cook is dying. What's wrong with her? She didn't specify what illness it is. But her life expectancy is months, weeks. She wants to see you before she dies. Is this emotional racketeering? Is that your final desperate argument to try to convince me? Oh no, I already exhausted all my resources trying unsuccessfully to convince you a moment ago. I'm just conveying Mrs. Cook's words to you. I'll be frank with you, Mr. Moore. My mind is split in two halves. One is controlled by reason, and to it I owe becoming a respected scientist. Spirituality consumes the other half. That's why I became interested in the afterlife. I wanted answers, and that led me to investigate Florence Cook's case. At that time, she was considered the most authentic medium in London. The investigation lasted longer than necessary because we realized we enjoyed each other's company. We fell in love, Mr. Moore. I concluded that Florence's powers were nothing but a hoax. It was obvious that Katie King was her, although no one else realized it. And that maid is just sitting there sipping on tea and eating popcorn. But even so, I was so in love with Florence that I wanted to cover for her and admitted that everything was real. Those claims shook my credibility. Even my career was at risk. Florence didn't want everything to end like that, so in an act of what I now see as bravery, she ended our relationship. She broke my heart. I haven't seen her since then. And if what you may say about her illness is true...
It is. Believe me.
In that case, my heart would break again if I were to see her in that state. I want to hold on to the memory I have of Florence. Full of life, full of light. Do you understand me?
But she...
Please respect my decision. And please apologize to Florence for me. I've taken a liking to you, Mr. Moore. You'll be welcome in this house any time, even if I'm absent. Feel free to consult my library whenever you want. Do you know Deshane?
Of course.
I have several first editions on the second shelf. You'll find them interesting. Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. So... Petunias. I shall name this one Chuck. Fatigue is starting to take its toll on me. The dark circles under my eyes are becoming more and more evident. There's a sealed envelope inside that tray.
It's for the coachman. It contains a card with the address where Mr. Crooks will give his speech. Don't lay a hand on it, if you please.
Oh. Okay. I wonder. Let's keep on looking. A bit of warmth is appreciated after spending the whole day walking the cold streets of London. I no longer need to watch the clock for the university board to decide whether or not to close the department of metapsychic research. Beatrice is right. If we manage to make the box of revelations work, we'll prove to everyone the existence of the spectral world. Camellias. Daisies.
No poker? Okay.
This library is quite a treasure. It contains volumes that would be the dream of any antiquarian.
You said the second shelf, right?
That's the library. Excuse me.
Yes?
Couldn't you convince Mr. Crooks?
That would be meddling in Mr. Crooks' affairs. It would exceed me duties.
I need Mr. Crooks to accompany me to that session.
I understand, but I'm sorry I can't help you.
There's nothing you can do for me, right?
I'm just a simple maid, sir.
Where are they expecting Mr. Crooks?
He has to give a speech at the British Confederation of Scientific Studies. Societies. Coachman should be arriving soon.
I apologize for interrupting. Carry on with your work.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, we can do a switcheroo. I could put Florence Cook's business card in the envelope on the tray. Although it's sealed. The only way to open it would be to break it, and the maid would notice. Well, how do we get the maid?
So can we knock over something? Or do we have to get like a specific... And I think she's actually blocking the area of the library that we need to go to.
Sir, Mr. Crooks is reviewing his speech. I don't think he wants to be disturbed.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Well, we might be stuck here right now until we can figure out what exactly we need to do.
Let me see if there's anything it's like I really want to see if we can grab those firewood or those fire pokers, but one moment. Alrighty. Well, I think we may have struck out here, which doesn't surprise me, but we know what we need to do with that business card. Alright, Florence Cook, William Crookes residence, Nelson's workshop, University, Benwell Street, Silas Bennett's office. What's going on over here?
Number 5. Here it is. London Archaeological Society. I hope Professor Silas Bennett can tell me something about one of the pieces from the Box of Revelations.
There's a ticket booth, there's an alley, there's other things to explore here. George Méliès, a star film production, the ultimate film experience, summoning the spirits, evocation. Inside the cinema? Ooh.
The ticket costs a penny. You can enter and exit the premises as many times as you like, so long as you keep your ticket.
I need a penny, but I am penniless. Can I go in? Nope.
Excuse me. You must pay if you want to see the film.
I see a bird up there. Okay. So the alleyway is our way out. Hello, little doggy. Is there anything over on this side? I love the little ambience of people just walking around. The carriage there in the foreground. Falk's Horror Books.
The names of the most prominent horror story writers are displayed on the shop window as a lure. In this one, I see Bram Stoker, Arthur Machen, and Edgar Allan Poe. And in that one, William Hope Hodgson, Algernon Blackwood, and H.G. Wells.
Oh, can't talk to the guy? Can we go in?
I shouldn't waste time entering this bookstore, but this type of literature is one of my passions. It'll only take a moment.
Oh, welcome to my house. Come freely. Oh, go safely. Well, I know what kind of accent to give this guy.
And leave something of the happiness you bring. Dracula.
Ah, I see you are one of us.
One of whom?
You know.
Excuse me?
An aficionado of fantastical and horror literature.
Yes, I am.
Well, you have to come to the right place. Feel free to peruse the store. We have it all. Poe, Wells, Verne, Blackwood, Machen, Bierce, Benson. You can also find the latest works by budding authors on the shelf behind me. I edit them myself, you know. Oh, and if you prefer, test your knowledge by answering my queries on the subject.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. Do you have Anna Karenina?
Anna Karenina.
Yes, by Leo Tolstoy.
Tolstoy. How dare you come into my establishment to insult me?
Excuse me?
Here we only sell the good Tolstoy. Alexei.
Who?
The author of The Family of the Vordelak, you ignorant fool. Go to one of those bookstores that shun this genre. You'll surely find what you seek there.
I was just asking for...
Close the door on your way out. He's got some Bernard Black energy.
You're insane.
Anna Karenina. Alright.
From left to right, Matthew Lewis, Edgar Allan Poe, and... I think Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu.
Indeed. It is Sheridan Le Fanu.
I recognize some titles from that bookshelf, such as Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu.
Have you perused it? Stoker did not introduce anything novel. Yeah, there were vampire books before Dracula. Just Dracula kind of broke the mold. Upper floor?
Ooh.
Can we...
I see there are more books on the upper floor. I'd like to take a look at them, but I have things to do. I shouldn't even be here. Mary Shelley. It all started with her. I do not entirely agree with such a statement. There exist authors predating Shelley who delved into the realm of horror literature. Yes, of course, but Frankenstein is considered a turning point in the genre. Its success led to... Your discourse lacks precision. I would advise against spreading inaccuracies with such levity. The annals of horror literature cannot be rewritten by a single erroneous fact.
Whatever you say.
This man's the gatekeeper, isn't he? Novelties. Ooh. The Stygian Pond, the Lovelace Baby, Soot Stains, the Allingham House, the Ouija board. What's this? Report from April 3rd, 1903 is featured in The Observer. -5 stars! The police investigation into the gruesome murder that occurred last Tuesday in Berkeley Square continues. Scotland Yard's handling of the case is facing fierce criticism from the Baron's family, who are pressing for the culprit to be found. Rumors abound that even the victim's identification presented serious difficulties. Algernon Thine's head had been described as a mass of bruised flesh and broken bones, reportedly bludgeoned with one of his own canes, found in pieces next to the corpse. However, what perplexes the police most are the abundant signs of murky and fetid sludge found both at the crime scene and on the victim's body. The Baron was last seen alive in the early hours of Monday near the Thames, close to the opium den at Southwark Bridge, during his morning stroll with the distinguished members of the Rifle Association. Witnesses claimed that a drug addict, brandishing a filthy bag of coins, had the audacity to approach them seeking alms. The Baron responded with shoves and insults, accusing the man of robbing honest folk, before snatching his purse and sending him into the river with a blow from his cane, shouting, "Wretched scum!" Hey. No one lifted a finger to save the unfortunate soul from the fermenting sewer many now know as the Stygian Pond. Instead, the Baron was met with a chorus of applause. All refuse ends up in the river, after all. This location appears crucial to the investigation, as the trail of brown mud led Scotland Yard's agents to the foot of the iron bridge. However, as the tracks vanish into the river, it seems the case has hit a dead end. Several patrons of the Chinese opium den claim to have seen a noisome thing crawling to the Thames bank and disappear into its dark waters. They have emphasized the stench, a guttural moan, and above all the metallic clinking of a bundle carried by the abomination. Authorities have chosen to dismiss this account as a mere collective hallucination induced by opiate consumption. You summoned something, or mutated something. The Loveless Baby. I know the stir continues over my sudden resignation upon showing up in a state of Ealing Police Station last weekend. I also know there are certain rumors swirling about what I saw at the Loveless house. I'm penning these words under a potent painkiller I've self-prescribed, but I swear by God that the facts I'm about to relate are true and not in any way influenced by the drug coursing through my veins at this moment. I, Dr. Maximilian Price, state that the following is all I have to say on the matter of the Lovelaces. It'll be the one and only statement I make or write on this subject. Upon seeing the ulcerated bosom of the corpse on the table, I dared to presume, without the need for tumor markers, that what had killed Lady Frances Lovelace was Paget's disease. I would have issued the certificate on the spot if not for a small detail that stayed my hand. Before delving into that, I must clarify that this was the second autopsy I had performed on a Lovelace in a month. The Lovelaces had a 9-month-old baby named Enoch. Lady Frances, of course, adamantly refused to nurse the child, claiming that was something for animals. Enoch, huh? It is understandable that a woman on her standing would recoil from breastfeeding, but unfortunately Lady Frances had no tolerance for wet nurses either. She became hysterical when anyone touched Enoch. I suppose it was desperation that led the old-fashioned Lady Frances to confer her troubles to science, but she resorted to a feeding bottle, one of those nursing bottles that have become so fashionable. Unfortunately, the same dignity that prevented the lady from nursing her firstborn also hindered her in matters of cleanliness and hygiene. The Loveless baby was found dead a few days later, with a bruised, swollen body due to bacterial infection from the rubber bottle tube. I myself signed the certificate, with Mrs. Lovelace in attendance. This occurred a couple of weeks ago. Read The Loveless Baby. I hark back to this unpleasant memory to make you understand why a certain detail in the purple pustule on Lady Frances's chest perturbed me greatly, to make you understand why I felt compelled to exhume the corpse of little Enoch well into the night. Doubts and paranoia overwhelmed me, even though I knew it was impossible. I cursed my curiosity for driving me to compare the teeth of that wretch with the course of the small marks encircling that infected breast. Why did I have to do it? Baby was hungry, even from beyond. The soot stains. Let's finish reading these. These are cool. It was an open secret. Arthur Black beat his wife. The Blacks were a working-class couple living in one of Glasgow's dirtiest neighborhoods. They lacked access to clean water and lighting, and their combined wages barely covered their needs. Bessie found it hard to recognize her husband in the blackened figure that returned home at night. He seemed like a shadow of himself, in every way. In addition to being tough labor, chimney sweeping paid poorly. Every coin that fell into Arthur's hands bounced off the pub's bar, and when gin couldn't ease his troubles, he tried his luck with his wife. He would always deny it, but the soot marks on Bessie's bruises held an undeniable confession. It was said that Bessie was a good mourner because she vented her own pain at funerals. It was also rumored that she dressed in black not as a sign of dedication to her profession, but to conceal the stains on her clothes. Around the neighborhood, we speculated about what would finish off Arthur Black first, the alcohol in his liver or the soot in his lungs. What we all got right was the imminence of his death. To no one's surprise, Bessie shed not a single tear at his funeral. Widowhood seemed to promise a better life for Bessie, but nothing could be further from the truth. The night after Arthur's funeral, I approached her house, driven by the screams. I found her crouched in a corner, pointing at the wall with her trembling finger. She claimed her husband had returned, but all I could see were soot stains. The screams repeated night after night, but I became more concerned about the sudden silence. The Bobbies found her unconscious on the bed. She had attempted suicide by strangling herself with her own hands, judging by the marks on her neck. Bessie was admitted to Claybury for her own good. The doctors restrained her to the bed by the legs and arms to prevent her from harming herself in a fit of hysteria, but it was futile. They couldn't explain the sooty trail of footprints in Bessie's cell the day they found her suffocated, tongue out, and even less the black marks that reappeared on her neck. A cheerful ending. Allingham House. I usually keep a file of newspaper clippings of events that catch my attention, but none can rival the strangeness of the enigmatic case of Allingham House. Here's the clipping I preserved. The fire at Allingham House, bordering Clevedon Bay, has prompted communal recollection of the mysterious death of its owner, Helen Allingham, before the property was bequeathed to Helen's granddaughter and her husband. As later revealed, a thorough examination of Mrs. Allingham's body revealed greenish marks on her gums and under her tongue, ruling out cholera as the cause of death, as has been incorrectly diagnosed. Weeks before her corpse was found in the armchair of the reading room where she held her literary gatherings, the elderly woman had stopped receiving visitors due to a rare indisposition shared by the usual attendees. Testimonies confirmed that Mrs. Allingham had become obsessed with her new floral tapestries, a Shield green, the shade once popularized by the Swede Carl Wilhelm, which is currently facing devaluation in the market due to a controversy over the toxicity of its arsenical components. She boasted about the luster of her walls, was one of her acquaintances stated. As if that were not sufficient, she varnished the paper with lead to achieve more vibrant green tones, ignoring our advice. She accused us of envy. Oh great, arsenic and lead. It is presumed that the dampness of the jetty decomposed the arsenic in the upholstery, causing vomiting and diarrhea among guests and Mrs. Allingham's death due to prolonged exposure. The police investigation will determine whether the fire was deliberate or the result of the tapestry's flammability. But regardless of the result, it puts an end to the Allingham couple's well-aired domestic crisis. That cursed armchair. I scrubbed and scrubbed, but the green stain wouldn't budge. It lingered there, glowing in the darkness every night, changing positions, Elizabeth Allingham declared, just before her husband dragged her away from the journalist, citing post-traumatic stress. That one's cool. That kind of leaves everything kind of up in the air. Oh, and you're on the Ouija board. Thanks, Parker Brothers. We could have been 3 bored old ladies at another dull tea gathering. Heaven forbid.
Lillian had invited Margaret to her garden as a gesture of apology after marking her amethyst necklace. Margaret had always been a bit resentful, so at Lillian's request, I agreed to accompany them both to help smooth things over. I brought scones and sandwiches, and Margaret brought imported green tea from Benares. I was about to kick off the evening with the latest gossip when our hostess surprised us with one of those alphabet boards to communicate with spirits. She had pilfered it from Charles's cabinet, who was involved in the Golden Dawn. Quite audacious, that Lillian. What noble lady rummages through her husband's belongings? Oh well, since she couldn't find the planchette, she tipped a teacup onto the wood and placed a finger on it. She had seen that little act 1,000 times in Charles's sessions. Lillian urged the ghosts to manifest themselves. We went along with the joke as she began to slide the cup back and forth, but after a while, I noticed something odd was happening. The cup hopped over the letters, repeating 3 words incessantly. Danger, cup, death. Lillian jerked her finger off the cup like a spring. Her skin looked pale, even under her rouge. Margaret poured her some tea to calm her down. I had a bad feeling, but couldn't shape it until it was too late. Lillian started foaming at the mouth, her eyes glazed over and her head slumped on her chest. Margaret laughed like a devil. She didn't resist when the police took her away. They would find belladonna in the tea, or some other poison. It was only a matter of time. If I hadn't been so skeptical, I might have suspected that the Ouija was referencing to Margaret's teacup, not the one Lillian was using as a planchette. Before they urged me to leave the crime scene, curiosity led me to place my finger on the board's cup and ask a simple question. Who are you? When the cup started moving and the letters spelled out a name, I knew I should have bitten my tongue. Lillian. This time it was me who burst into laughter. That was definitely impossible. I mean, how could someone communicate with themselves from beyond to try to avert their own death? Ooh, that gave me goosebumps a little bit. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Lovecraft taught us, never summon that you do not have the materials to send back. Okay, well that was a nice little diversion of novelties. Now we will go ahead and continue with the matter in hand, guys, in the next episode. Hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.